That's good slipping. That's good slipping.
Yeah, sparring was alright.
Conor Benn arrives in peak condition ahead of his clash with Chris Eubank Jr., unveiling a stronger, more muscular frame for his move to middleweight.
It's not about knocking him out, it's about working. And the data just goes to show that, you know, I didn't even go in the red zone once in sparring.
Conor Benn and Eubank Jr. are on the verge of writing one of the most dramatic and emotionally charged chapters in British boxing history. In just over 2 weeks, the sons of two legendary fighters will meet in a long-awaited clash that carries the weight of a decades-old family feud. The moment feels especially meaningful for Conor Benn. The 28-year-old recently took to social media from training camp to reflect on a journey that began 9 years ago on April 9th, 2016. That day, a teenage Benn stepped into the ring at the O2 Arena and made quick work of Bulgaria's Avelo Boyanov, scoring a first-round TKO. It was the start of a career that, despite impressive growth and an undefeated record of 23 wins with 14 knockouts, has not been without serious setbacks.
I didn't realise how much boxing meant to me until it was taken away. So for me, boxing is my life, it's my world, it's who I am, it's not what I do, it's just the man I am.
His rise was interrupted when a planned 2022 bout against Eubank Jr. was cancelled due to a failed drug test. Benn had returned an adverse finding for clomiphene, a banned substance, just days before the fight. The incident sparked widespread controversy and cast a shadow over his career. Benn denied knowingly taking performance-enhancing drugs, attributing the result to contaminated eggs. But the damage to his reputation was done. For over a year, the incident dominated headlines and altered public opinion of the once celebrated young fighter. This upcoming bout marks his return to British soil after 3 years of fighting abroad, and it couldn't be more significant. Not only is it Benn's first stadium show, but also his first pay-per-view main event. He acknowledged the occasion with gratitude, noting how far he has come since his early days in boxing. He never imagined he would headline such a massive event, especially one with this much attention and historical weight. To him, the moment is part of a bigger plan, one shaped by perseverance and faith. He said, 9 years ago today, I made my debut. What a blessing. It is mad to think how far I've come. In 17 days, I will headline my first stadium show and my first PPV. I'm excited. It is all in God's plan. 9 years ago, did I think I would be headlining a stadium fight in a fight that will go down in British history? Probably not, but life is a blessing and full of adversity. While Benn prepares to prove himself in the ring, Chris Eubank Jr. is training with laser-sharp focus in a sweltering gym near Lambeth Station. At 35, the older and more experienced fighter brings a calm intensity to his preparation. Unbothered by the chaos around him, Eubank Jr. trains like a man with something to prove, not just to the world, but to himself. For him, this isn't simply a fight about family legacy, it's personal. He views Benn not just as a rival, but as someone who, in his words, cheated by attempting to gain an unfair advantage. And in a sport where every punch can be life-threatening, that's something Eubank Jr. cannot forgive.
Is this almost becoming too personal and too bitter, this rivalry now with you and Conor?
That's for the public to decide. I just have to deal with what's in front of me. I have to deal with the fact that I'm fighting a drug cheat, and I have to treat him in the way that any drug cheat should be treated, and that is very poorly.
The history between their fathers, Chris Eubank Sr. and Nigel Benn, adds another layer of intrigue. Their two iconic battles in the 1990s helped define an era of British boxing. Eubank Sr. claimed victory in the first meeting, while the rematch ended in a draw. Though those fights were fierce, the rivalry had a professional tone. This generation's installment is far more volatile. Promotional events in the lead up to the April 26th showdown have been fiery. During one particularly hostile face-off, Eubank Jr. cracked a raw egg on Benn's face, a symbolic act referencing Benn's explanation for his failed drug test. Benn immediately lunged at him and security had to intervene before it escalated further. When asked during a televised interview if he regretted the stunt, Eubank Jr. said the only thing he regretted was not having 2 eggs.
6. It's Benn versus Eubank. The limit 160 pounds. The family feud goes on.
The The moment captured the nature of their relationship, intensely antagonistic and emotionally charged. But despite his actions, Eubank Jr. insists he isn't just trying to sell the fight. For him, this is about truth, fairness, and setting a precedent. He claims that Benn's drug test wasn't just a violation of boxing rules, but a betrayal of the sport's integrity. Meanwhile, Benn's team hopes the fight can mark a turning point. A win would help him move beyond the scandal and perhaps even set him on the path toward a world title shot. But it won't be easy. He is moving up 2 weight divisions to face Eubank Jr., a naturally larger fighter who has spent most of his career at super middleweight and middleweight. The size difference could be a major factor. While Benn has the speed and power to trouble many opponents, Eubank Jr. has the reach, experience, and physicality that could test him like never before.
I rate it, to be fair. It's not really like his thing, is it? It's not really his personality. People say I'm phased and rattled, but the reality is, who's really more phased and more rattled? You look at the top table, what do you see? A broken team.
On the other side of the ring, Eubank Jr. seems to be thriving in the chaos. He has embraced his role as the sport's villain. During an appearance on Ariel Helwani's show, he described his complicated relationship with the boxing public. He recalled the first time he was booed over a decade ago during his bout with Billy Joe Saunders. Back then, it rattled him. Now, he says he feeds off that energy. He sees it as fuel. The jeers, the drinks thrown in arenas, the angry fans, all of it empowers him. In his view, there's a stark difference between the way he is hated and how Benn is currently perceived. Eubank believes that fans enjoy disliking him because he's always been the cocky showman. But with Benn, he suggests that people feel genuinely betrayed. The fans supported him, believed in him, and then, because of the drug test scandal, turned on him. That kind of hatred, according to Eubank, is far more toxic. And he said, "Of course, I have disdain for this man. He tried to cheat. He did cheat in our first fight 2.5 years ago. He took performance-enhancing drugs. He was caught, and the fight got called off. So animosity is rife between me and him. But hate? Hate is a very dark energy. That's a very consuming mentality to have towards somebody. I would never give anybody that type of power over me. If you're talking about real villains, real bad guys, that's the drug cheats." As the highly anticipated clash between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. draws nearer, discussion across the boxing world has shifted sharply toward one pivotal factor: size. While Benn is stepping up 2 full weight divisions to meet Eubank Jr. at the middleweight limit of 160 pounds, the physical disparity between the two men remains one of the most talked about aspects of this showdown. Tyson Fury, known for his candid insights, has made it clear that weight is the deciding factor. He believes that at Benn's more natural fighting weight, welterweight, the fight would likely lean in the younger man's favor. But at middleweight, Fury thinks Eubank Jr.'s size gives him the upper hand. He said, "It's a weight category thing. If it's at 10 stone or whatever it is, 10.5 stone, it's going to be Conor Benn. If it's at middleweight, probably Chris Eubank Jr." Perhaps the most qualified to speak on Eubank Jr.'s vulnerabilities is Liam Smith, the only man to have stopped him. Smith, who knocked out Eubank in the 4th round of their January 2023 bout, admitted that Eubank looked improved in their rematch later that year. Still, when it comes to facing Benn, Smith believes the size difference will once again be a key factor. From his perspective, Benn is simply too small to pose a real threat to someone of Eubank's size and experience. Smith doesn't see Benn being able to neutralize Eubank's reach and power.
What do you make of Eubank versus Benn?
I'm not 100% sold on the winner, but I'll probably head towards Chris on points.
Why?
Just size-wise, Conor's small. I think Chris might rob a punch win, if that makes sense. I think he'll jab, I think he'll be cagey on. I think that's a style now. He's not the Chris of old where everyone makes out he fucking loves a fight and ferocious and got this big high work rate. I think he's very cagey, jabs and holds a lot. And I think he won't give Conor a chance in there.
Carl Froch also doesn't give Benn much chance. While he acknowledged Benn's explosiveness and past victories, Froch pointed out that those wins came against fighters who were past their prime, such as Chris Algieri. Eubank, in contrast, has shared the ring with tougher, more current competition and proven himself at higher weight classes. Froch doesn't see Benn overcoming that difference, no matter how aggressive he might be.
I just think that all the variables, and you look at who's done what and who's the bigger, stronger man, and who's got the experience at world level, you're gonna have to say Chris Eubank Jr. He's fought Groves, he's fought Billy Joe Saunders, he's been in there and beat Arthur Abraham, James DeGale, former IBF super middleweight world champion. He beat him. So he's performed at a better level and proven that at a higher weight, he kind of belongs around the world, sort of the world level status, where Conor Benn hasn't done anything. He's done nothing. Make no mistake, yes, he banged out Chris Algieri, who was a former champ, and he looked good doing it, but it was a way past his best, Chris Algieri. I was working the commentary team for him alongside Roy Jones Jr. when Billy Joe Saunders fought Canelo Alvarez, and Chris was saying to me, I'm not in the gym, I'm not training, I'm not interested in boxing anymore, I'm going to concentrate on my punditry. About 6 months later, I'm seeing getting knocked out by Conor Benn. I thought, what is going on? Why do these fighters do it? Obviously, some of them need the bunts. But yeah, if I'm going to pick who I think is my immediate favourite for this fight, I'm going to say Chris Eubank Jr.
Tony Bellew offered a slightly more nuanced view, suggesting that Benn could find success in the early rounds. With his non-stop pressure and intensity, Bellew sees the potential for Benn to make it uncomfortable for Eubank at first. But he also warned that Eubank's physical advantages would begin to dominate as the fight wears on. In Bellew's mind, Benn's best chance is to overwhelm Eubank early. If that doesn't work, the fight could turn brutally against him.
And just outmanned him.
It'll be interesting to see how it goes.
For Conor, mate, that could,
he
if he feels any kind of exhaustion, the last thing you want to do is be in the ring with a bigger man. I think this fight's a fight for over 12 rounds. It's a case of, it's 2 fights in one. First 6, I think Conor's going to be so ferocious, so brutal, so vicious. I think he gets the job done then.
That's what he'll
But
have
I will
to do,
tell
yeah.
you what, if you have not got the job done by round 6, that's when weight divisions exist for a reason. That's when weight classes exist for a reason.
Very good.
I actually think Conor is a far better fighter than Chris Eubank Jr. is a boxer.
Technically, yeah.
And that's the problem that Chris Eubank Jr. is having. He's got this thing in his mind. He's a masterful boxer. No, you're not.
No.
I'm sorry, no, you're not.
Joe Calzaghe recognized both fighters as having comparable talent. Calzaghe leaned toward Eubank based on physical attributes. From his experience, size often dictates the outcome in high-level contests, and Eubank's natural frame gives him a strong advantage. He said, "Yeah, I think it's a tough one to call. Talent-wise, I think they're on the same sort of level, but size wins fights, so I sort of edge with Eubank as he's the bigger guy naturally." Shakur Stevenson added his voice to the mix, bringing a more technical take to the discussion. Stevenson, who has met Benn and studied his approach, respects his toughness and desire. Still, he sees Eubank as a more complete fighter with subtle ring IQ and underrated skills. Stevenson doesn't expect the bout to be as straightforward as some predict, and although he's rooting for Benn, he's especially impressed by his decision to take on a bigger opponent. His analysis points toward Eubank having more tools at his disposal.
The Conor Benn Chris Eubank fight over in the UK. Conor Benn and Eubank, both pretty big names, but Conor going up 2 weight divisions really to take that fight. You're smiling. So what do you what's your take on that one?
I'm just smiling because like I met Conor Benn, like he a cool ass dude.
He is.
He's very cool. Like everybody talk about how mean he is, but like every time I ran into him, he was always like a really cool dude. He always showed me like good energy. But truthfully, with that fight, I think that's a hard task just because of Chris Eubank. He's like a guy with subtle boxing skills. Like you ain't really noticing how like good he is, but he's a pretty good fighter. So I think it's a hard task. Good luck to Conor. I can't really give you an answer on how the fight will go, but I'm rooting for Conor Benn.
On a more personal note, Ricky Hatton, a longtime friend of the Benn family, recognizes that Conor is the underdog going into the fight. He points to the obvious size difference and Eubank's depth of experience as major factors. Yet, Hatton hasn't counted Benn out. He believes in Benn's mental strength and drive. Hatton also raised the point that Eubank has previously struggled to cut weight effectively, as seen in his preparation for the first Liam Smith fight. If Benn can take advantage of that and push the pace, Hatton thinks there's a real chance for an upset.
It's really interesting to think, to be honest with you. I mean, Conor's going up for 2 weight divisions. He's not fought anyone like the people that Eubank Jr. has fought, at his own weight, let alone 2 weights above. So it'll be very interesting. But Conor has a huge self-belief and drive, to be honest with you. A drive like his dad. The Benn family, I've never seen a family with more drive and determination. So I think everything's pointing at Chris Eubank Jr. But I think I think I might have a sneaky few quid on Conor, to be honest with you. His drive and his confidence and his self-belief is something that I've only ever seen in a handful of people, and he's going to need that, and I think that might be enough against Eubank.
Derek Chisora offered a chilling prediction. Although he refrained from choosing a winner, he suggested that the fight could be so physically intense that the loser might end up leaving the ring in an ambulance. His focus, rather than on the outcome, was on hoping both fighters come out of the ring healthy and intact. He said, "I love both fighters, so I'm not gonna say who's gonna win, cause I believe the loser will leave in an ambulance. I just want them to come out healthy and safe." Interestingly, Amir Khan, who initially supported Benn, has since changed his stance. Having had time to reflect, Khan now believes Eubank's size and power make him the likely victor. While he still respects Benn's fighting spirit and relentless approach, Khan feels those qualities might not be enough to overcome the physical gulf. Eubank, according to Khan, might not be on the same level as someone like Canelo Alvarez, but he brings enough size, strength, and durability to make the difference.
At the fight, you got two different styles. You've got an aggressive Conor Benn style, and then you've got a boxer in Eubank. So, it'll be a technical fight. Is a shorter guy, stronger guy gonna push him back, or is the guy who's the taller guy and who's more of a better boxer, is he gonna outbox Conor? So it's hard to tell. You know what I mean? Who's going to win that fight?
George Groves, who once shared a ring with Eubank Jr., was more decisive in his take. He favors Eubank due to his size, experience, and composure in pressure situations. Groves acknowledged Benn's powerful gym displays and pad work, but questioned where the fighter stands mentally, especially given the long absence from the ring. He argued the uncertainty surrounding Benn's readiness only makes Eubank's chances stronger. He said, "I'd always really pick Eubank Jr. to beat Benn. He's naturally bigger, has been in bigger fights, is more experienced, and has dealt with the pressure." I'm not sure what state Conor Benn's head is at right now. Maybe it's a good time to get Eubank, maybe not. He looks a force on the pads, but I haven't seen him fight in a long time. With all these elements converging, the stage is set for one of the most anticipated fights in British boxing's modern era. It's a battle between two sons of legends, two men scarred by controversy and fueled by legacy, pride, and the need for redemption. Whether it ends in triumph or heartbreak, this fight will echo far beyond the ring, carving a lasting place in the sport's history. So, what are your thoughts about this? Do let us know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of our other videos on the screen right now.